Yeah, good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, all of you. So we'll start the last session of Material Joining Lab. So in this session, we are going to look at laser powder bed fusion system. Okay. So recently, we have installed this system for additive manufacturing. So those of you who are attending the IT manufacturing course are aware of the process. So others who are not really aware of this process, I'll just give you a brief introduction about what we are going to look at in this class. So additive manufacturing of metals and alloys, we consider that as an extension of welding. Okay, it's where we use a laser heat source to melt a feedstock, okay, layer by layer. And when the layer by layer manufacturing is carried out, okay, by selectively melting a few locations when we spread a powder over a bed volume. So by joining or by welding layer upon layer, so we can create a net shape component, okay, by using this process. If you define additive manufacturing, so what we define in an ISO term, okay, so it is a process of manufacturing an end-use component, okay, directly from its design data, layer by layer usually. So we take a CAD drawing and we do some pre-processing, right? So once the pre-processing is completed, we get the pre-processed data to an equipment, and that equipment would create object using metal and alloy powder, right? So the process in which we use alloy powder as a feedstock, okay, and the laser as a consolidation source, and the alloy powder are the spread over a defined geometry, usually in a bed, in a container. And the laser manipulates, okay, the alloy powder, and wherever laser beam impinges on the powder bed, so we create full melting, right? So in the pre-processing procedure, so what we do is, so we identify a CAD geometry of a component we want to print, right? So imagine you want to create some object, like a cube or a complex geometry like an impeller, right? So what we do is, so we take the CAD drawing and we convert a CAD file into what is known as an STL file. So the STL file is nothing but a standard tessellation language file. Okay, so from an STL file, we convert, okay, from using the STL file, we convert a CAD data into a two-dimensional readable format. Okay, so STL file is nothing but, so we describe the outer boundaries of the object, okay, by a number of triangles. So once we convert, it is not required in enough, because anyway we will be using a GoPro video. Okay. So the STL file, when we look at, the STL file contains the outer boundaries of an object, okay, defined by number of triangles, right? So we convert a CAD drawing into an STL format in order to slice the object at various layers, isn't it? So I told you IT manufacturing is a process of building component layer by layer. So we'll have to start with one layer, okay, and from the STL file we slice them into various layers. So imagine you take an onion, right, and then you slice them. What happens? So if you combine all the slices, you can reconstruct the onion shape, isn't it? The same principle here. So one slice, okay, so we create at first, and then we keep slicing along the build direction, so that now we can get individual slices from this STL file. So once the slicing is carried out, so we'll have to arrive at some methodology for filling the slice, to create that slice. So imagine we have a powder bed, isn't it? A feedstock spread over a substrate in a bed. So laser beam would be manipulating over this bed. So in what ways you'll have to move the laser beam? Okay, so that is what we know as a path planning strategy. So imagine you want to create a rectangular layer. So rectangular layer can be created by scanning the laser along one direction, or we call it that unidirectional scanning. Or you can also do like zigzag, go back and forth in XY plane. Or you can also do it in a spiral or in a fractal way, so randomly you can create. But when you are creating, so you have to make sure that the paths are not coming back to the previously melted layer. So if we ensure that, so we can create that layer, isn't it? So once we have identified various methodologies by which we can melt the powder in a layer, okay, so we convert, okay, the layer information from the STL file into a machine readable format, right? So say for example, when you are using a simple CNC based setup, so we'll have to generate a G code or M code, okay, for this motion. Okay, so here also, so we convert, once we define the paths of individual layer, we convert them into a readable format and take it to an equipment and load over there, okay, in that equipment, and then equipment would start printing, right? So we'll have to define the laser power, scanning speed, okay, as well as the other critical parameters like bed preheating temperature, okay, and for example the layer height, okay, all this information we give and we measure, we calculate them either with a trial experimental methodology or by first principle calculations. Okay, so this until from a converting CAD drawing into an STL file and identifying the paths required to create a layer. Okay, so we call this step as a pre-processing step. So once pre-processing is carried out, so we go to the equipment, we print the component. Once the printing is carried out, we take the component out, then we have to do a simple post-processing. So most of the time, we identify the printing parameters such that the post-processing is not required. Post-processing generally involves, say for example, improving surface finish of the component, okay, or increasing density of the component. Okay, so in this process, what we are going to show you, so we always get close to 100% dense component because it's like welding. It's a welded object, multiple layers. Okay, so in the post-processing step, generally it is not required here. So once we have done the printing, so obviously we can take the object out, we can use it for engineering use. So why this is still considered as part of welding and joining? Because when we do additive manufacturing of metals and alloys, whatever physical principle we use welding, it's still applicable. So we create a molten pool, but very small, tiny region, about 40 to 50 microns of melt pool. Okay, so in a bead, and then it can be welded in a layer, and then each layer is welded with previously deposited layer. So the welding is still very much applicable for this process also. Okay, so this is a just quick introduction, and it would be nice if you look at it live. Okay, so that the pre-processing, printing, and removal of component, all these things can be continuously carried out in a demonstration, so that you get to know about the each step during this demonstration. So I'll be here, so we can have a discussion over the individual steps when we do the demonstration. Okay, good. Any questions so far in last class or this class? If you have any idea, or have you already have seen and additive manufacturing by laser powder bed fusion system, except those who are in our lab, others. So this is a very unique facility. So again, so the equipment what you are going to see here is made in India equipment. Okay, so this is the first equipment made in India, which is actually except from the one it is there in the manufacturing facility, the first equipment given outside their manufacturer. The equipment what we use is known as Intec iFusion. So we have a bed volume of 150 mm diameter, 180 mm height. Okay, so all these things we will explain when we actually go to the actual demonstration. So let's start. Yeah. Good. So we'll start with the pre-processing step. Okay, so who is going to show the video? Jag is going to show the video. Okay, so let me go up. Let's stop the video here. So we start with the pre-processing. Go to the AM builder. Start with the Yeah, start with the CAD drawing first. Yeah.
Got it, okay. So this is the proprietary software.
Guys, can you hear the Basil? Hello?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
Guys.
Okay, thank you. So I will explain the designing procedure. So first we will make our designs. So we can use a few softwares for that. First one is SolidWorks for engineering drawings, engineering design. So there is an example of a sleeve that can be printed using additive manufacturing method. So this can be made in either in SolidWorks, or there are other options available as well. So you can either use Rhino Zero softwares for modeling and Fusion 360 is also other option. I think some student version also available for this Fusion 360. So you can use either of these softwares. Okay. So, can you mute the audio? Someone is.
Guys? Hello? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So this is for engineering components. You can use for manufacturing engineering components. Okay. So other option is like softwares like Blender. You can use for unconventional materials or design of unconventional materials, something like this. So this is a lattice structure shape of a board. So you can use this designing software for making components, something similar to this. Okay. So I'll just open some examples so that you can get an idea. So this is also another component that we are now trying to print actually. So this is an example of a bishop structure. Then another one, you can also design something like this, chest component of bishop shape. Okay. So after designing these models, we can come to the file, export here. Then we can export into .stl file.
There is a. I don't think so.
Okay, then we can just name and export it something like this. Okay. So here also in SolidWorks you can save as .stl file. Okay. So cambridgesleeve.stl. So you can save this file. So these are the designing software that you can be make use of for designing the components for additive manufacturing. So after that, we use this software called AM Builder. So this is the this is the proprietary software for our machines for developing the slice information for the additive manufacturing method. So here we can add a new component and we can choose the file that we want. So now I'll just export this ball structure that we just saw. Now the status is showing loading.
Yeah, so let me also, guys, when I was explaining about converting CAD data, maybe step file or any other CAD data file into an STL format. So Basil has already done that. Okay, so Basil already exported the CAD file into an STL file. An STL file is a simple description of a geometry of a component. Okay, so those of you already attending my additive manufacturing course, they know that the boundaries are described. The boundary of the objects are described by sets of triangles. Okay, but is it possible to show a triangularized STL file of the same component? Yeah, can you zoom in? Yeah. So guys, you can see here, it's visible. So what you see here is the CAD drawing what Basil was actually showing a kind of a bishop, the shape of a bishop. The outer peripheries are defined by the triangles. See, any geometry can be described in terms of triangles. The STL file, if you look at, we describe the geometry by the triangle information. So the triangle vertex coordinates and the surface normal of the triangle. Okay, in a Cartesian coordinate. So why this is important? Because this is important. Suppose when you are actually slicing down into multiple layers. So this is the build direction, what you are going to do, right? So when you are doing a slicing for each layer, when you are doing printing layer by layer, so we can identify the interaction points of these triangle edges with the cutting plane. So then the interaction points of the triangles are linearly connected to get the outer boundaries of the object. Okay, so the converting into an STL file is important step. Okay, good. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Hello. I can't hear you.
Hello. I can't hear you.
Hello.
Can you hear me, sir? Hello.
This one said audio quality is very poor as well as it is getting echoed.
Okay, go ahead. Hello.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, guys. So we understand that. So we are actually here now. So we have very poor Wi-Fi, here inside. Let me otherwise connect to my phone. Hello? Guys, can you hear me now? Video is not clear.
So
Which video?
Prakash is trying.
Okay, just hold on. Now,
So
okay, so you can look at Prakash's video.
So you can look at Prakash video.
Okay, anyway, so the GoPro video will be there to know for your reference later. Is it clear now? Can you continue?
Can you continue?
Okay, so did you hear about the STL file conversion I just spoke to? Was it clear? Anyway, I will just show it again. So this is the shape we are going to print today. So show the STL file again. So this is an STL file where the actual CAD information is converted into a format suitable for slicing. So here you see that number of triangles. So we describe the outer boundaries of an object by sets of triangles. Okay, so here you see that. So resolution. So STL file, if you look at, so we define each triangle by their vertices in a Cartesian coordinate. Okay, and the direction of triangle by its surface normal. So now we can divide into multiples of several layers. Imagine if we slice one layer over here. So we can start from the bottom. So we can slice into a layer thickness. Typically what we use here is about 40 microns layer thickness. So we'll be slicing in them into 40 micron layers until the top. And this will be the build direction, what you're going to do. Okay? So we identify the interaction points of the triangle edges with the slice plane and then connect all the points. We'll get the outer boundary of individual layer. Okay, go ahead, Basim.
Okay, so can you hear me now? Okay, I'll explain. Okay, thank you. So I will explain this model now. We just imported. I'll just show once again. So here we add the new part. Then we show the component in STL format. So I'm going to import the ball model here, the lattice ball model. Add part. Now the status is showing on the left bottom corner. Now you can see there is two balls appeared here. So one we just imported and another one we imported a little earlier. So here we come here and we can see we can scale this model, or if we can copy this model, and we have all options are available here. So I'm just going to scale this model 7 times. Okay, now you can see the model is much bigger. So that is what we are going to include in this platform. So if you click on this button, that is for translation. So we click on that, we can translate this body in this plane, and we can place it in the build platform in appropriate positions. So if you look in from the top, it will be more clear. So if you're okay with this position, then we can click OK button at the bottom right corner. And similarly, we can also place the other ball. Select it first, then it will turn blue. Then like last time, we can scale it again. Click apply. Then move this to appropriate positions like that. Okay. So once again, I am going to include other model as well and just show it in. So that model is appeared here. Similarly, I am going to scale it up 7 times. That's okay. Now you can see we have a roof model also. So make sure to place it appropriately so that it will not touch other components. Yes. So okay, so these are the components that we are planning to print for this session. So then another consideration that we have to see, what are the parameters that we are going to give for this print. So for that we come here and come to the hatching parameter. Then we specify what is the laser parameter that we are going to give. So here we can add a new parameter set here. Now you can see we have core, upskin, downskin, contour and support parameters are available. So for core means it is the core component, core of the component that we usually give as a stripe, stripe in one direction or in a hatched or bi-directional stripe that we are that options are available here for the printing. So we can also give the laser power and laser speeds for all these options. So that is also very important. The selection of the power and speed is very important. So to avoid any defects in the model. So after specifying the laser parameter, we can allot the laser parameter to each part like so. So here we are selecting the rook and we are giving one part we are already defined. If we want to change the parameter, we can specify here by clicking on this icon here. So here we have given the laser settings as 300 watts power and 1100 as the speed in millimeter per second. And also we have also given a contour. Contour means the outer surface.
Yeah, guys. See what you see over here. Go back. The can you mute? Yeah. So go back. The parameters what is actually shown over here, or like for example stripe. So that is the width of the stripe, the scanning length over the layer. What we are going to do, and then the hatch spacing determines the distance from one center of one bead to other bead. Okay, so in a layer when we are actually splitting, so we are going to generate the entire layer bead by bead, like weld deposition, one weld after one weld. Okay, so the hatch spacing or the step over distance determines the distance from first bead to this second bead and so on and so forth. In the hatch direction, if you go back, the hatch direction. Okay, so here which direction we want to generate the path, the laser path. Whether you want to do it X direction or Y direction, or we can also mix together to create a circular path, for example. That is possible. So then the hatch spacing and pattern, we can also define whether you want to do it unidirectional or bidirectional. Okay, so like you can go all the time X positive or Y positive. So you can go to X positive, and the next bead can also be X negative. So it becomes bidirectional scan, so on and so forth. And we can also define the custom paths as well in this software separately, and we can give this input. Yeah, go with this.
It's muted. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, so these are the parameters that we can define here. So similarly also contour means the outer surface of the of this component. So when we look at here, we can see this outer component, outer surface of the component in one layer. That is the contour information. That option is also available. So we have also included one contour here, which is at a distance of 0.04 millimeter, and which is also having the parameters defined here: 140, 190 watt power and 560 millimeter per second speed. So upskin, downskin is also another option. Upskin means the top surface. If you see this example, so this is a top surface of the rope. So we can define another set of component for this surface. So similarly, if you look down here, one second. So if we look down here,
Guys, we'll start again. Yeah, but we'll start.
okay. So we have these 4 components now. So next step is to generate the layer information for the printing. So now we come here to this path generation component region here. Then we can assign parameters to each part. I'm just assigning. I'm selecting all the components and giving the same parameter. So that is TI big part. That's the name of the parameter. We can see the properties of the parameter here, the laser settings and other parameters here. So everything looks fine. Then we click apply. Then we click on this generate path button. So the left corner, it's showing the status. Now the information is ready. So we can see that the print has total 499 layers. So the first layer is shown here. So you can see the print is starting from the bottom and progressing in upward direction. So if you look closely, so you can see there are some arrows going on. This yellow arrow represents the contour information. Okay.
Hold on. Something's missing. Hello? Is it connected?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So the yellow arrow represents the contour and the black arrow represents the downskin. Okay. So you can also slightly see there is this this green arrow that represents the core region. So our root model, it does not have any internal structure here. So we are just printing the as a shell. So that is why it is having this information at the boundaries only. Okay. So if you look at the other model also, the ball model, you can see similar information. So there is just
Check whether it is. Can you check? It's coming by the students of design.
Can you verify if the video is available?
hello. Please respond if you can hear. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So here you can see the yellow information is for the contour, the green is for the core component, and the red is for the upskin. So downskin information is shown in black, upskin information is shown in the red vector. So that is the direction of the laser at this particular layer. So this is now at 147 layer, and this is the region that is going to print in this particular location. Okay. So this is our ball model. So I'll just show the progress here one by one. This is also we need to verify this each layer so that we can see if there is any possibility of failure is happening in these layers.
Yeah, but you can explain about the path. Unidirectional.
Okay. So as we said in this particular example, this is bidirectional scan. You can see one vector is going in this direction, green direction, and other direction is coming back. That is called bidirectional scanning strategy. So we applied bidirectional scanning strategy here. That is why it is showing the arrow in both directions. Okay. The contour is just outer geometry. It is different in different layers actually. So that is how our component is going to print. So this is the bishop. It is having a little more height. That is why it will finish at 499 layer. Okay.
Yeah. So we can go there.
So this is our model. So after generating the path, we can export this as an INSL file.
Support generation.
So I'm just showing this as an example here. We specify the folder, output INSL, and our build, which is basically this that we are selected now. So when we click export, it will show the approximate time it will take to complete. So this build will complete approximately in 1 hour 20 minutes. Okay. So this is the basic idea. Then one more thing I need to add here is the support generation. So this is also very important part of this this building process. So let's imagine I have a roof here. So if we have so much overhanging region, like this overhanging region, we can give a support here so that it will not fail during the printing. So if I click here in support generation, after selecting the roof, and I click auto support generation, so the program will identify which region that needs support. So it accurately identifies these regions as overhanging regions and given an automatic support there, as you can see in blue color. Okay. So also in this direction it needs support because it is not a solid geometry, it is an hollow geometry. So you can see here the support start from the base. The support start from the base and it goes all the way up to that flat surface at the top, so that it will not fail during the printing. Okay. So this is also very important. We need to include the support during some components. It's all depend upon the geometry of the component that we are going to print. For this roof specifically, we need to give some support in this region, especially the top region, and probably in these overhanging regions. Okay. So we can also specify some regions to give the support. So imagine that we from our experience we sure that it will not fail in any other region. So we are only let's say something it's not sure about this particular overhanging region, we can only give support here. So I'll just show the process here. So you go here and select only that geometry. Okay. So you click on here, probably only some of that geometries. Okay, something like that. So like that you can select some of those geometries. So after selection, the geometries will turn green. Then we can give only support to those geometries. Okay. So let's say this is not complete. We usually select full surface here. So for the demonstration purpose, I will show you the procedure here. Okay. So we created a group here. It's shown as patch group 1. Then we can go here and say generate support. So it will generate support only for that region. Okay. Now you come here, you can see the support is generated for only those surfaces. So this is also another option. We can specifically give which region need to be given support. Okay. So support generation is also important part of this process. So we can also specify what kind of support that need to be given. So here we have given some block support, which is having support in X and Y directions. So we can either give conical support, like a cone shape starting from the bottom. So here I show here. Okay, so this is little bit higher. You can see instead of the surface supports, here we have conical supports. So here we can change this parameter to match to correct the geometry. Let's say if you want something like the diameter, we can adjust. Let's say we have, instead of 0.2 we can give 0.05 or something. End radius, start radius 0.05. So okay, that is also an option. So after giving support, now we have generated this INSL file that is ready to be imported in our machine. So that is the general procedure for this this 3D printing. Okay.
So what Basil was trying to say here is suppose if you have an overhanging features, these features should be supported. Now, otherwise what happens, we are creating a layer of say 40 micron thick weld pool, isn't it? So if you don't give support, the weld pool may collapse. Suppose the region is something like what he showed about the brim of a bishop shape. Okay, so at that time, in those places, so we need to give some support so that they are actually printed without the collapse, without self buckling. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So what he is showing to show here is one object where we printed with the support. This is a titanium part. You see this. So this screw part or this over here. So these are actually used to connect with one fixture. and this is an overhanging feature, isn't it? And you see here is overhanging feature, and this is supported by this support. You see this, and we'll have to machine this off. And this is what Basil was showing, that here we can also change the shape of the support so that it becomes easily removable. In our equipment, we can create either soft support or medium hard or full hard. So here are the soft support. That means that we use laser parameter and strategy for printing such that these supports can be broken, just like simple hammering or using a chisel to take the support out. Right? So the solid object. So this is structural part of the component, and we use that with the optimized parameter. For the support, we can use parameters such that the support structure can be easily removed. Yeah, is it clear? So what he's showing over here. So this is the drawing with the support configured for easily removing this. Yeah. Good, Basil. Yeah.
So that is all.
Okay, so guys, any questions on the pre-processing? So we have generated the INSL file. That's the file we not import to the equipment. And the equipment would start printing. So we have to load the powder into the container. Okay, and then layer by layer printing would take place. So as I already told you, it's nothing but the welding process. Yeah, good. Go ahead. So now Jitendra would take care of the equipment part of it. So he's going to explain the HMI, the human media interface.
Okay, can you hear me, guys? So this is the HMI, human machine interface. So after a generation of INSL file, we will import that INSL file into this software. So for example, here we have this part. So here also you can play with these things, like for example, this is the part, so you can say how the laser is scanning that path you can see whether it is bidirectional or unidirectional. That also you can cross check here after uploading the file. Okay, so after uploading, for example, if you want to delete any part or translate any part on the build platform, that also you can do here. Even you can rotate the uploaded part. So those option is available here. We'll go here. It is for translate. This is for rotate. And even you can delete. Like it has various parts. So if you don't want to print these three parts, you can selectively delete these parts. And it is very nice to see that where this each and every part is going to print, what is the location on the build platform. So this is all about the uploading INSL file. After that we are going to the manual control. So this manual control needs like a lot of options is there. One by one I will explain everything. So first one is like a door lock. So door, this is the chamber door which need to be locked when you start printing. And there is another door attached with this main door, that is a glove door box. So it has a glove that you can after closing the main door by using these gloves, you can operate, you can take out, you can remove the powder to the dispenser, and these things you can do with gloves. After that, this is the chamber light. So this chamber light you can on off, and there is one blower. So what happened when we start printing? So there are some fumes generated. Evaporation happens. So after going to few height, it get solidified and it convert in the form of condensate. So that need to avoid from the that it should not mix to the build platform. It should not mix to the melt pool. So we have a blower which need to be on every time during the printing. And one is the depressurize. So sometimes the pressure is increased inside the chamber. For example, if we are moving the dispenser upside, the pressure will increase inside the chamber. So we need to depressurize it before opening. Until unless this pressure will not release, you cannot open the gate. After that, PC flooding is required. So obviously, when in 3D printing we are melting the material, so it is prone to oxidation. So we have to avoid we have to limit the oxygen. So it should have some at least below 1% to avoid the oxidation. After that, we need a heater. So the base plate, this base plate need to be heated, because while we are printing first layer, the thermal gradient will be very higher. So due to this like residual stresses will be generated, and when these stresses will be very high, it will get delaminated from the base plate. After that, we can see the oxygen value here. So this oxygen value right now it is 0.35, but you can print the component below 1% of oxygen. Dosage efficiency is right now it is 815 layers. So this value is coming based on the amount of powder which is available in the dispenser. So this is the layer thickness of the part. So layer thickness of each layer. After that, we can see the powder doses. So this powder doses right now 80 micron. So based on the requirement, we can adjust this powder doses. So if we will adjust this powder dose, you can see, for example, right now it is 80. We are changing it to 800, and then apply. The number of number of layers has been changed. So powder doses is basically required when, for example, your build platform, it has a large area to print. Then the powder consumption will be higher, and then we have to increase the powder doses to avoid the insufficiency of the powder. And then there is a heater temperature. Let me make it to 80 again. So this is heater temperature. The heater temperature, material to material, it depends. So that we can change here. For example, right now it is 80. We can make it to 200 or 150 based on the material we are going to print. So this is blower speed. Blower speed is right now 20. So this is the 15 to 25 is the moderate range that we can use. So basic purpose of the blower is to avoid the condensate to mix with the melt pool. After that, this axis movement is given here. So in the axis movement, you can see this is whole section is regarding the build. So let me so this is the dispenser, this is the build platform. So the movement for this one is controlled by this build control. Sorry. Yeah, this axis movement, this is the build section movement control, and this is the recoder. So here you can see the left side. Let me move it and see. So you can see this is the recoder. So the recoder is basically the purpose of recoder is to take the powder from the dispenser and spread on the build platform. So a specific height of like dispenser will move a specific height, and then it will take a particular thickness and spread on the build platform. For example, right now we have fixed layer thickness at 40 micron. so it will spread the layer thickness of 40 micron. Then this is recorder, so recorder control, and then this is the dispenser control. So right now we have machine is ready for printing. We have to load a part. We are not going to print this part because it is very big size, so we'll delete it. So let me load that part which INSL we have generated in the pre-processing. Okay. So you can analyze the layered view.
We are printing the bishop only.
Yeah.
So whatever the machine was showing,
Yeah.
so we are printing only the bishop coin. It will take about an hour.
Okay. Okay, so the part is loaded. So the oxygen percentage we need to check, that is 0.3. So we are in the condition to start printing. Recorder homing is required.
Yeah, guys, just to add, the entire printing is taking place under controlled atmosphere. Okay, so whether we like to maintain a nitrogen atmosphere, or we can also do it in argon atmosphere in our equipment. So you see that oxygen concentration we always keep so less than 0.5%. The chamber environment oxygen concentration. Why is that? Because the whirlpool we create is very tiny. So we have to protect it from the oxygen, contamination. Otherwise, the whirlpool may oxidize. So therefore, it is important that the printing should be carried out in controlled environment.
There are some primary things you need to check before starting the print. So this is the whole, it is showing the status of each and every hardware which is attached to the machine. So you can see this axis status, this filtration status, subsystem status, and all the other things are there. So filter is used when we as we are using the blower. So this blower is taking the condensate and sending to the filter. So after some time filter is clogged, so that oxygen percentage suddenly increase and the part quality can be bad.
They may not know what is filter. You can show them. See filter.
Yeah. So filter.
Okay, so what you see the inside the equipment. Okay, so we have two systems. So whatever the metal vapor, plumes, it comes, it gets collected over here and filtered out. Okay, and the gas what we actually use, it has to be taken out as well using this blower, which actually sucks the vaporized metal from the whirlpool, and as well as the other plumes and plasma gas we generate. It's all taken out over here. So we have two filter system, and which can be working in tandem. Okay, so one is operational, and sometimes maybe the other can be operational. Yeah. So these filters are known as HEPA filters. HEPA, HEPA. Okay, so this we may find it in high, performance vacuum cleaner as well.
So this filter you can see that after a few hours of use, this filter is totally clogged. So we had to replace this filter. This is the routine process that we have to follow for every print.
What model per order?
Titanium.
So we are going to print it titanium, right? So now print is started. You can show inside of each other. Yeah. So what you see over here is this is the powder container, this substrate. So you see the laser is actually not start printing. Yeah, second layer is done. Now the third layer. Yeah, so you can show it inside as well. So it will take about 54 minutes for the completion. So it will keep continuing its printing until the part is completed. So once the part is completed, we can take out the part with the substrate, and then we can take we can cut open the part from the substrate, and the parts can be used in end use. Right? Is it clear, guys? So I think we have a video of part 4. We have made already. The same part? You can show over there. So we have got about how many layers? About 500 layers. You see that? So the countdown is there. So right now, we may have to wait until 53 minutes. 52. About an hour, to print this part. So some parts may take even close to 3 days. See here the number of layers. So about 404 layers. 404 layers. We are now 15. Okay, guys. So we can show some of the parts what we have printed here. Right. So this is actually a titanium part. We have printed for ultrasound sonotrode. Like the ultrasound imaging, we use it for medical applications. Right. So for example, someone is pregnant. The imaging of the baby inside womb of a pregnant woman. So we use ultrasonic images, right? And this is a container or a holder for the sonotrode. We use it for ultrasound. And you see that we made it with a surface texturing and lightweight titanium, because one of the colleagues in applied mechanics is developing indigenized ultrasonic imaging equipment in IIT Madras. So we are helping them to produce the cover, the boxing, the packaging for the sonotrode and imaging software what he is developing. Okay, so we have printed for him, and some of the parts what we printed over here. So this is an impeller in stainless steel, 304, right? So this is an automotive component, a campus sleeve, what they call it. So this is a ball joint, ideally, to connect and two moving system, the rods in an automotive drive shaft. Okay, and this is some objects what we created. For example, a flow channel for heat exchanger applications. Right, so this is a conventionally made part. Now this is a 3D printed part. So you can see already what the supports what we use to achieve the overhanging structure here. And this is a lattice structure, again printed in a stainless steel powder, primarily for achieving say the auxetic properties, right? So these are specially designed lattice structures, and this is a benchmarking sample. It shows the capability of the equipment. You see the thin needles what you have printed, the diameter as low as 200 microns, what you have achieved. So it shows that thin features, what you can print. It's a solid object, what you have actually done over here. So we have been working and we have been printing various shapes. The main advantage of this process is to realize complex geometries. Right? Like for example, here to achieve a porous structure, it's very difficult to produce by any other technique. So for example, the complex geometries what you see here, it's very difficult to produce. So conventionally we used to do brazing. So first we'll have to form the object, then sandwich, then vacuum braze it to achieve the heat exchanger parts we used for automotive. So now we can just straight away print. And apart from that, we can also use components with conformal cooling, which are actually closed inside the component, okay, to enhance the cooling efficiency of the component. And the complex part specific, okay, patient specific implants. Like each all of us are unique, isn't it? So suppose if you want to produce an implant, a dental implant, or maxillofacial reconstructive implants, hip replacement implant, so on and so forth. So once we have the design, we can print it here. So we have been also printing some of the implants for dental applications or facial reconstructive applications over here. Good. Anything else, guys? So the component, anyway, you have taken out cover. So you take a video and then we combine and then we show them. Yeah. So keep the GoPro here. You can take the video. Yeah. Yes? Okay, guys. Is the process clear? The printing by laser powder bed fusion. We can go there. Yeah, guys. Any questions? Hello? Guys, are you there? Yeah. Any doubts? So those who are attending my additive manufacturing course, you will appreciate. Okay, each steps what we carry out, in a pre-processing step, and how do we arrive at the process parameters. Say if we use laser power of I think 350 watts, okay, for one part and support different parts. Right? How do we identify those parameters? Right. So it's like a welding process, procedure development. So what current you want to weld and what speed you want to weld. Same principle we also apply here. Okay, to arrive at optimal parameters to print without any defects. Yeah? Good day. So if there are no more questions, shall we wind up? So as I said, this is the last class for this lab. We have looked at close to 9 demonstrations, starting from in the first class the shield metal arc welding. Then we looked at gas metal arc, gas junction arc, plasma, microplasma, resistance spot welding, friction stir welding, Weber simulations, and the most advanced manufacturing methods what we have is additive manufacturing. In that we looked at one technique, laser powder bed fusion. Yes, so I hope you enjoyed the session and also the entire the lab course. So we'll have the final exams offline. Instead of Viva Voice, because a lot of students are there, we'll have offline exam. Okay, so, for 1.5 hours. Right, so you can mostly will be objective type of questions. Okay, so then I will wind up here. So we'll then meet during some exam. So try to submit all the reports, lab reports, and including the last class as well. Okay, good. Any questions, clarification required? Guys, it's all clear. Yes, Karthikeyan. Any comments? Okay, fantastic, guys. So then we'll wind up. So I will add the video of the part removal. Okay, so when I upload in YouTube, right? So because we'll have to just wait until 1 hour for the part to realized by this process. So I will add that when the part is removed from the substrate in the YouTube video. Okay, so then with that, we'll wind up. So best wishes for the NSEM exam. Okay, say bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോം കാണുന്നുണ്ടോ? അതല്ല, പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോം അവിടെ താഴെ കാണിച്ചാൽ മതി. പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോം കാണിച്ചാൽ മതി. ഞാൻ പൊക്കാം കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. വരുന്നില്ല.
वीडियो रिकॉर्ड करना है. What's going on?
റെക്കോർഡിംഗ് വരും. ഇതൊന്നും കാണാനില്ല.
Sorry.
Gloves. So it is all. Pause ചെയ്തോ?
size difference.
Yeah. That is the Maximus one, right? So, don't explain.
This is the Bishop sample we have printed for this lab session. So we have taken it out and you can see the part. It has come nicely. We wanted to print it in this size because we wanted to complete it in the lab session time itself. That's why we printed in the smaller size. Yeah, thank you. Right now one build is completed, so we are going to take the build to a competition. So that's what you can see now.
We are removing the builds. You can explain.
Yeah, the build is coming up. So the part, maybe you can see it is fully submerged in the powder actually. So right now, after the build has come to the home position, we will take the part along with the build platform. Okay, now the build is in the topmost position. So now we will open the chamber.
Open crowns.
Yeah.
Can you briefly tell
Yeah,
about
now,
the construction?
yeah, this is a part made in Ti64 alloy. So this is a part which will be used in a medical device. So I'm just taking the duct which is for the gas flow.
डिस्पेंसर में डाल देंगे।
This is the part. You can see there are supports given at two features at the sides.
Overhang feature.
Yeah, it's a overhang region. That's why supports are given.